Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, into the mystical heart of the High Holy Days, using the Holy Zohar as our map. Now, this isn't just about reflection and repentance in the way you might think. We are about to uncover a hidden, 10-day cosmic repair operation, a mind-blowingly precise procedure designed to literally reboot reality itself. Our source, the Zohar, just drops this bombshell right at the start. It says Rosh Hashanah isn't some gentle beginning to a new year. No, it's a first awakening, a system-wide alert. A celestial tribunal comes online, and the entire cosmos is brought under judgment. And we're not just talking about our individual actions here. We're talking about the very health of the spiritual infrastructure that connects the divine to our world. This quote really sets the stage for a high-stakes cosmic drama that's about to unfold.
All right, here's our flight plan for this journey. First, we're going to explore that initial system alert, this cosmos under judgment. Then we'll track how the pressure builds over that 10-day period. After that, we get to the core of the operation, the Zohar's secret weapon, the incredible mystery of the two goats. From there, we'll map out the absolutely brilliant divine decoy strategy. And finally, we'll get to witness the ultimate prize, the complete purification and reboot of the system, which is mystically known as the purification of the moon.
So, how does this whole cosmic operation even begin? Well, it's not with a quiet prayer, it's with a sound. The Zohar teaches that the blast of the Shofar isn't just a wake-up call for us down here, it's the activation key for a universal system that's about to enter its most critical annual diagnostic.
It all kicks off with a specific force the Zohar calls din. Now, judgment is the translation, but it's so much more than that. Think of it as the cosmic principle of strict accountability, where universal law gets applied with razor-sharp precision. And on Rosh Hashanah, this force awakens, and it just permeates every level of existence. It's like a powerful diagnostic program running through the whole system, scanning for every error, every imbalance, every piece of spiritual debt. This awakening of din is what gives the day that profound seriousness and awe.
And this slide introduces the protagonist of our cosmic drama, Malchut. In Kabbalah, Malchut is the final divine emanation, the end of the line. It represents the divine feminine principle, the actual interface that receives all that energy from the higher realms and manifests it as our reality. So the Zohar connects Malchut directly to the moon. Why? Well, just like the moon has no light of its own, it only reflects the sun, Malchut is the vessel designed to perfectly receive and reflect divine light down into our world.
And this brings us right to the central problem. When that intense force of din, of judgment, awakens, the entire system goes on high alert. The Zohar explains that the vessel of Malchut, our moon, becomes covered or dimmed. All the spiritual static, all the noise generated by our misaligned actions throughout the year gets amplified by the awakening of din, and it impairs its ability to receive the divine light. The connection is compromised, the channel is full of noise, the moon is darkened, and that means the flow of life-giving energy to our world is threatened. This is the critical system failure that the entire 10-day operation is designed to solve.
So that initial alert on Rosh Hashanah, it doesn't just fade away, not at all. It kicks off a 10-day period of intense mounting pressure. The Zohar describes this not as just 10 regular days, but as a structured countdown, where the whole cosmic system is placed under this incredible scrutiny, putting the very forces of reality into a state of high tension.
This timeline here maps out the spiritual mechanics of these 10 days, which are known as the 10 days of Teshuvah, or return. It starts on day 1, Rosh Hashanah, with the raw, unfiltered power of judgment. This corresponds to the Sephirah of Gevurah, or strength, and it's mystically linked with the color red. But the system doesn't stay in this harsh state. Over the next few days, other divine energies start to step in. You've got Chesed, the force of expansive love and kindness, and Tiferet, the force of balance and harmony. They begin to engage with the judgment, slowly moderating and sweetening its raw power. It's all building toward the 10th day, Yom Kippur, the day of resolution, when the whole process culminates in one final purification.
This chart does a great job of showing the energetic landscape of this period. Gevurah, or judgment, is clearly the dominant force. It's creating all that cosmic pressure. That's the left column in the Kabbalistic tree, the force of construction. But, and this is key, it's not acting alone. It's being balanced by the right column, chesed or kindness, which is the force of expansion. And right there in the middle, mediating between them, is the central column, tiferet or harmony. The tension between these forces is what defines this whole period. It's a dynamic process of balancing the books of reality, while also getting the system ready for a profound healing. Okay, So this brings us to a major strategic problem. We have a critical system, Malchut, that's impaired and desperately needs repair. But at the very same time, it is under an intense, direct attack from the forces of judgment, these cosmic prosecuting attorneys that are being empowered by our own negative actions. So how do you possibly repair a system while it's being actively targeted? I mean, this is a fundamental challenge. You see it everywhere, from military strategy to cybersecurity, even to personal healing. Right? If a fortress is under siege, you can't just throw open the gates to bring in supplies and fix the walls. If a computer network is under a massive denial of service attack, you can't just take it offline to patch the holes. The Zohar sees this exact same paradox on a cosmic scale. A head-on fight just won't work because the prosecuting force, known as the Sitra Achra, or the other side, is literally fueled by the very judgments it's carrying out. We need a different strategy.
And right here, the Zohar pulls back the curtain and reveals the secret weapon for this entire operation, and it's a strategy of just breathtaking genius. Instead of trying to fight the prosecuting force head-on, the divine plan is to distract it, to divert its attention, to give it exactly what it wants, but in a controlled way. And by doing that, you create a window of opportunity to perform the essential repairs on the core system.
This comparison shows the two-pronged strategy perfectly, and it's all embodied by the two goats of the Yom Kippur service. Now, they look identical, but they have completely opposite missions. The first goat, designated for the divine name, is brought into the holy system. Its life force is used to absorb and sweeten the leftover harsh judgments that were found during the 10-day diagnostic. It's an internal cleanup job. But the second goat, designated for Azazel, is sent away into the wilderness. This is the decoy. It gets loaded up, so to speak, with the raw spiritual essence of our collective sins or misalignments, and it's sent directly to the prosecuting force as its designated portion. So, how does this decoy strategy actually play out? Because this isn't just some simple ritual. The Zohar is describing a highly sophisticated, multi-step procedure. And to make it crystal clear, we're going to break it down with two modern analogies. One for all you engineers out there, and one for the gamers. All right, from an engineering point of view, this is a masterclass in cosmic cybersecurity. Step 1, you identify the threat. The Sitra Achra is attacking the system. Step 2, deploy a decoy. You route all the malicious code, that spiritual junk from our errors, to a sacrificial target, the goat. It's a classic honeypot strategy. Step 3, engage the adversary. The prosecutor sees this target a concentrated package of the very energy it feeds on and becomes completely consumed by it. And that creates the opening for the final step. Step 4, secure the system. While the adversary is totally distracted, a secure channel opens up, allowing pure, healing energy to come down and reboot the core system without any interference.
Or you can think of it like a classic video game raid. You've got this massive boss, the Sitra Achra. So what's the plan? Step 1, a tank character, that's our goat, runs in to lure the boss, drawing all of its attention, all of its powerful attacks. Step 2, the boss is now totally distracted, fighting the decoy way over there, far away from the main objective. This gives the rest of the team a crucial opening. Step 3, the healers get to work. They start casting spells to heal the base, repair it, upgrade its shields. And finally, Step 4, power is restored. The base is back to 100%, ready to go. It's a strategic diversion to create a safe space for repair.
Now, what is truly mind-bending is that the Zohar itself says this decoy operation is so flawless, so effective, it does more than just distract the adversary. For that one moment, by giving the prosecuting serpent its designated portion, its due, it's completely satisfied. It has nothing left to prosecute. And in that state of satisfaction, the Zohar says it actually stops its attack and momentarily becomes a defender, preventing any other negative forces from even approaching the holy system while the repair is going on. It is an absolute masterstroke of cosmic strategy.
So, with the prosecuting force occupied, neutralized, and even temporarily on our side, the main events can finally happen. The secure channel is open, the system is protected, and the final phase of the operation can begin, the purification and the reboot of Malchut, the moon.
The Zohar tracks this whole transformation through this powerful, symbolic color shift. The whole process starts on Rosh Hashanah with the dominance of Ra Din, or judgment, which is mystically tied to the color red, the color of fire, of severity. But the goal of the entire operation is to transmute that energy. By Yom Kippur, through this whole process of moderation and purification, the dominant force becomes rachamim, which is transcendent mercy, and it's represented by the color white, the color of purity, kindness, and ultimate forgiveness. This is the whole metaphysical journey, from red to white. And this isn't just symbolic poetry. The Zohar is describing a tangible, energetic process. As that red force of strict judgment gets diverted by the decoy, it creates a kind of vacuum. And into that now protected space, a pure, healing white light descends from the highest spiritual realms. This is the light of ultimate compassion, a mercy so profound it operates beyond the normal rules of cause and effect. It's an energy that doesn't just balance the books, it wipes the whole slate clean. The mystics teach that this incredible white light is channeled through what are known as the 13 attributes of mercy. Now, these are considered the deepest, normally hidden levels of divine compassion. But on Yom Kippur, at the climax of this cosmic procedure, the gates to these 13 channels are just thrown wide open. And this immense flow of purifying energy is what makes the final cleansing and repair of the system possible. And this right here, this is the ultimate outcome of the whole operation. The vessel of Malchut, the moon, which was so dim and compromised at the start of Rosh Hashanah, is now completely bathed in this pure white light. The static is cleared, the vulnerabilities are patched, the connection to the divine source is fully reestablished. The moon is no longer dark. It shines once again with a complete, restored, brilliant light, ready to channel divine blessing and life into our world for the entire coming year. So what we've just witnessed is not just some ancient ritual. It's a timeless blueprint for a universal process. It's a story of how any system, when it's under extreme stress, can be diagnosed, protected through brilliant strategy, and ultimately healed. It's the restoration of harmony between the divine and our world, a complete renewal of the very fabric of reality, all made possible by this incredible cosmic repair operation. You know, this 10-day journey mapped out by the Zohar, it shows us something amazing. That even when we're facing the most severe judgments, the most intense pressures, there is always a hidden path to purification and renewal. It's a path that relies not on brute force, but on divine wisdom, on brilliant strategy, and on the ultimate power of mercy to heal all things. What a profound and hopeful message for the new year. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.